Okay, guys, the moment has finally come. The Engoodening of No Man's Sky. I'm really excited. This is the most popular request from you guys, and we're finally getting to it. So look at this first screen. What the heck is all of that?
By that game everyone loves.
A bunch of stuff on there.
Scientists are racing to unlock the secrets of the cosmos. Questions we once thought impossible to answer are within our grasp. Where does the sun go at night?
Is math related to science?
If the universe is so big, then why won't it fight me?
As we look further into the universe, we see light from distant stars, eons old, perhaps hundreds, even thousands of miles away. Hold on, can I get a zoom in on that?
You bet I can. This is one of the world's most powerful telescopes. Initiating 6 times zoom.
Can this baby do 7?
I can do you one better. Maneuvering to 8 times zoom.
Pressure rising, holding steady. I can see it. Unblur.
It won't hold.
Get me 8.5 times.
You're a madman.
Upscale it to 4K.
The helium tanks will go critical.
Opening
What is
the
happening?
blinds. Hold her steady. Uncropping and increasing aspect ratio.
What? What is that?
Now, punch it. There it is. Life on another world.
Oh, it's the
to
game.
think
Okay, yeah, No Man's Sky.
We owe it all to one indie development studio.
Oh dear.
Hello Games.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, it's rewind time. Okay, the year is 2009. Guildford, England. There's a man named
Did they
Sean
start this in
Murray, and he's
2009?
just founded a company called Hello Games.
Sean and the
That's a long
boys are
time
working
ago.
hard on a brand new IP called Joe Danger. 2010 AD. The game just came out. It's a success.
They're a small team, but
Cool.
they are ambitious.
Let's do something bigger, said Sean. Let's reach for the stars. How about Joe Danger 2? Brilliant. It's 2012.
Oh,
Joe
okay,
Danger
okay.
2 has just come out.
But that one doesn't perform as well.
We need to do
All right.
something even bigger than Joe Danger 2. Joe Danger 3? No. Even more out of this world. Something no man has done before.
Joe Danger the mobile game?
Yes! And that came out in 2014.
Oh,
Seriously,
looks
guys,
cute.
biggest thing you can think of.
I'm just a stock image, dude. Why don't you think of something?
Sean pondered for a moment, then turned and looked
Do you ever wonder if people see their own videos like, did Sean watch this?
wistfully into the mirror. Reflected back was the visage of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
If you're going to make a
Uh-oh.
space game, first person, it's never been done before. How about that? I'm going up in orbit to repair the Hubble telescope. So that's not a knife. Who are you going to have sex with? How much microwaves are coursing through your body now?
He says some crazy stuff sometimes.
Planet, said Murray. Space game. Procedural generation. Planet.
Right.
Okay, that sounds good. Yes, we all agree. So they set to work, cobbled together a prototype, and by VGX 2013, they are ready to announce another new IP.
So this game, all I know about No Man's Sky is I watched some YouTuber play like an episode or two of it, and I just thought it was so boring. So I just said goodbye and never looked back.
No Man's Sky. Check it out.
Oh, this is special.
I wonder if Starfield like took any of this stuff.
This is special.
It's 2014, and it's E3 hype time. No Man's Sky has promised to be a game like no other. A practically boundless experience vibrant with life and color and things to explore. What's over there? You'll have to be the one to discover it. And then, wow, look at that big f***ing dinosaur, holy shit. And a moment later,
I mean,
we're
it
in
looks
space
really
having
cool.
a battle amongst a giant fleet. Claim a planet as your own. Explore the galaxy with your friends. Okay, that's it. This is gonna be the best game ever, you guys.
Wait,
It
is
even won awards
it
for its
multiplayer
hype.
or not?
And it will
Can't remember.
release
I
in
thought it was
June
just
2016. The hype train was officially loading up and ready to chug out of the station. At every stop of the journey, there would be press junkets talking
Jeez,
about
he was
the
on
amazing scale of the game.
big talk
Spread
shows.
across 18 quintillion planets. It's so vast that by the time you finish exploring it all, I would have 2 new videos published. Sean himself was doing the interviews. Because who is better to talk about the game than the lead guy himself? He went from interview to interview, and with each question,
That's brave.
the answers he gave raised people's expectations of the game's scope.
Can you land on a comet?
Yeah.
At the moment you can land on asteroids.
You could encounter other players.
Can you grief other players?
A little bit.
You're literally building your own like massive
Okay.
multiplayer world that's procedurally generated.
Sand planets like in June, rivers, walking sentinels, hacking. So sophisticated
Oh,
that light
that
diffracts
kid.
through the atoms, they had to redevelop the whole periodic table to make it work.
What?
Even Elon Musk was hyped for it.
What does that mean?
2 years go by. It's early 2016, and that hype train is really moving
Okay.
now. Perhaps one of the biggest in video game history. Reddit was shoveling most of the gamer fuel. Skeptics and naysayers are treated as ballast and thrown from the carriage doors. Pre-orders open, and they are doing very well. The date is booked in. Some are even taking the day off work. So much hype there is that... Uh-oh. Jason Schreier of the soon-to-be defunct
Of
Kotaku
course.
is about to spoil the party. He announces a delay. From June 2016 to August.
Okay, it's just a couple months.
Liar, the incensed audience cries. Please be
It
quiet,
happens.
they said. And death threats too. But he was 100% right. A week later, the delay is officially announced. Ooh, sorry lads, we need more polish, said Sean in his usual accent. To that, Sean received some death threats too, by the way.
I think
although
that's
he didn't take them
fine.
seriously or go to the police. Yet.
I mean, if it's not ready, it's not ready. It's better if they take a little more time to make it
Sometimes
polished.
foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
But the impatient crowd relaxed a bit and said, fine, we will wait. But we expect
You have
a
no
level
choice.
of polish no man has ever seen. Speaking of waiting, Shadow Man here. Have you heard of Raidy Shady? My wife died in a plane crash. Hey, let's get serious for a moment. Raid isn't just a game with 15 million downloads in the last 6 months. It's a lifestyle.
What?
Think differently. Play Raid differently. Achieve your dreams. I'm sorry, sir. You've contracted raids. That's good. Congratulations, it's Gorgorov of the Undead Horde.
My life, Onesu.
You've just collected one of over 400 champions. Why, hello there. Have you heard about the online RPG PvP? It's extremely well reviewed on the Play Store.
He's always chasing people, telling them to go do
You remind me of my wife.
Ugh,
Raid is more
the plane
than just
crash.
a game.
Oh no.
It's a reassuring pat on the back from your dad. It's a warm bowl of soup on a cold night. It's one last dance at your wife's funeral. If you haven't played in the arena yet, I'm gonna break into your house. You're all getting Raid for Christmas, kids. Yay! And if you download now, kids, using the link in the description below, you can get an extra 50k silver and an epic champion. Wow, you're the best dad ever. Wait, Mum's dead?
Raid Shadow Legends.
Why is the
And
wife
over.
and mom always okay?
So let's talk about the team in charge of all that polishing. It's small, tiny. In
Yeah.
fact, I haven't been able to find a smaller team behind a AAA release.
All of these expectations are on the shoulders of just
crazy.
6 people, expanding to a team of 15 by the end of production.
The end.
July.
Oh, okay.
It's just a couple of weeks until the release date. Whatever the state of the game by now, however much it's finished, that's what's going out. The Hello Games team celebrates with this iconic image.
The quintessential soy face.
They're exhausted. Look at what video game production does to.
It gets on my nerves when I think about Starfield, like how much budget they have backing them, you know, all the huge team that they have, and still it was just like really not that great.
To a man.
God,
That's so dumb.
what's wrong with your face?
Nonetheless, they continue working on the day 1 patch. And Sean, if your game isn't coming out for another 2 weeks, then why is there a box copy on eBay? That's right. It's a leak.
How?
Someone broke the embargo and is selling early access to the highest bidder. And the bids start rolling in. It reaches $1,300 US, sold to some guy with the Reddit handle Damien. He gets his hands on it and starts uploading footage to YouTube and Dailymotion.
It's really cool and
Said Sean and
terrible.
Sony. Damien finished it a lot quicker than expected, but he gave it a decent review.
There are things I don't like, there are things I like, but at the end of the day, when I say to myself,
So this leak came out a whole 2 weeks before it released. That's just terrible. Like, man, what if it's like
what is this game supposed to be?
not great?
This, what I'm looking at right here, this is what the game is supposed to be.
He noted a few problems, but said he was optimistic that they would be ironed out with the day 1 patch.
Yeah, you have
Sure.
a leaked copy.
It's another leak. Some retailers broke the official release date, journalists too, and they started streaming playthroughs of the game.
I mean, you want the views.
Sony tried
That's
to
terrible,
DMCA all
though.
these videos, but their aim was terrible.
Round of applause, everyone. We've officially become No Man's censored by Sony.
Our new story from
Well-
earlier this week about No Man's Sky leaks has been hit with a copyright
I
strike
mean,
on
it's
YouTube.
kind of messed
They
up.
went bumbling around from platform to platform, just taking down any video that even talked about the leak or showed the trailer footage.
Oh,
But it was too late. The footage had people talking more skeptically about the game, especially because there were no early review copies.
That's bad.
And it was looking like the weight of all these expectations
I see.
had become too much. And the whole thing was about to give. Oh no. It's August. Everyone's here. We've all bought the game and we're fucking hyped. Here we go, lads.
it's not good, is it?
Oh dear Lord, it isn't finished. Hello, Sean. It is me, the auditor of games. I used to work at an astronomy lab, but don't worry about that. It seems like you've made a lot of promises. Promises that you have not kept. Let's go through the checklist. Have you got any large-scale joinable space battles?
Nobody would want that.
Ringed planets?
No. No.
Fine. Well, at least let me play as a trader.
Some may call this junk. Me, I call them...
No.
Those sand planets from June look nice. Think I might... Please, Sean, there must be rivers.
No.
What is there in the game then?
Animals interact with each other in the environment?
No. No.
Packs of walking sentinels, Sean.
No.
I'm literally crying right now. Should I even ask whether I can play as a space pirate?
He's gonna say no.
No.
Factions with different attributes.
You picked the wrong house, fool! Oh!
Fly between star systems manually.
But nobody's actually done it yet.
If I can maneuver like in the trailer, I'll still be happy.
No.
Again, what
Day-night
is in this
cycles
game?
determined
What?
by the orbit of the sun.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Land on an asteroid, radio chat, and name your ship, hacking, portals. All that stuff about the elements, Sean.
No.
This is not good, Sean. This is very not good.
He talked about
And
all that
ironically,
stuff.
the only bugs this game doesn't have are the butterflies in the demo.
Buried buildings, aggressive emojis, tractor beam malfunctions, animal husbandry, oil slick world, raining grass, retarded animals doing retarded things. Ship's interiors disappear, first person mode as a gun. That's not how flying works. That's my only means of transportation, leaving the planet. Take off. Really take off. Holes in the map.
No.
Holes in my graphics card. Whole lot of nothing from down here. Textures bugging out. Animals bugging out. Animals breakdancing. Look at these busy hands. Hello there. And a couple of unrequested ejector seats.
No.
Okay, that's a lot of stuff. I get the picture. No wait, poor graphics rendering. Some can't even start the game. Frame rate issues, constant crashes. Major publications are having trouble
it's
playing the game on their
unplayable.
machines. Even the best 1080 Ti's are stuttering. Alt-tabbing? That's a guaranteed crash. Desktop notifications? That's a crash. Playing the game? That's a crash. Changing options in the game without restarting? You'll
Nope.
get this. And if you got the pre-order version with the bonus spaceship, you might have a problem. Your special ship already comes with a hyperdrive inside it. Great, right? No, because you have to craft it in order to finish the tutorial missions. And if you haven't finished the tutorial missions, you can't leave the star system. So whoops, until they patch it, you're stranded.
That's why I give my kids
No Man's Sky.
the full.
Ah, my ship's in bits! Okay, thank you.
Just a quick note about how high expectations were for this game and just how many people bought it on release.
I mean, he was on
Myself
mainstream
included.
talk shows.
Over
Come on.
750,000 purchases on
It's a lot of
Steam
marketing.
at launch. It's the single best-selling game on the PlayStation Store that month. And the large proportion of people who bought it in the hopes of playing with their friends, well, you're in for a surprise. This one is a literal game changer.
Is it even possible to meet up with your friends in No Man's Sky? The answer is absolutely yes, it's possible.
On multiple occasions,
Okay, it's
Sean
not
said
possible. Yeah, because the person I watched usually plays with other friends, and this time he played just by himself. So that's why I didn't even think there was a multiplayer, really, because he definitely would have played with
definitely
other people.
in the game.
Will you be able to play with your friends?
Yeah.
Can you run into other people, other players on the game?
Yes.
Dude.
But then just before the release, Sean posted this cryptic tweet.
To be super clear, No Man's Sky is not a multiplayer game. Please don't go in looking for that experience.
Oh, what? So there's no multiplayer function. But then the next line contradicts that.
Because the chances of two players ever crossing paths in a universe this big is pretty much zero.
Oh, so it is multiplayer. You just have to overcome this finding each other hurdle.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah!
Right?
But
no, it's more confusing than that.
But if it's so big you can never find each other, then that means you're not able to connect anyways.
Because the box doesn't mention online play, just network features. And the collector's edition had its online play icon stickered over. So customers are going, which one is it, Sean? Just tell us
We'll
if it
take a
has
guess.
multiplayer or it doesn't have multiplayer. Sean wouldn't give any answers.
That means it doesn't have it.
But after hundreds of thousands of
It's not a hard
purchases,
question.
people soon took it upon themselves to find out. Despite the claims that it would be so improbable.
Dang, he got on Colbert's.
On the very first day, two people noticed they were only 4 star systems from one another, and they met up on the same planet in a live stream.
Okay.
Oh dear.
A black pillar.
Our streams are exactly lined up. If you go look at my stream, we're looking at the exact same area right now if you don't move.
Yep, that's the same spot. And they can't see each other.
Oh no.
That settles it. It's not multiplayer because it's so big.
Yeah.
It's not multiplayer because it's just not fucking multiplayer. And this led
Did
to
he
quite a
really
revolt.
think people wouldn't find that out eventually?
What did Sean have to say about all this?
So amazing, 2 people found each other on the first day.
That has blown my mind.
Why?
So why can't we see other players in game?
Wow, so many of you playing.
Yeah, Sean, but why?
Truly amazing.
My mind is blown.
That was great.
So what's the game actually like then?
Is it any good? That is a difficult thing to say.
Well, it certainly is stylish and
Meaning
pretty.
no.
And there are a lot of places to explore. But that doesn't mean there's much to find. In fact, the game boils down to a very simple loop. Hold down the trigger to pick up resources, deal with a full inventory, get an upgrade, leave the planet, go to another planet.
This
Hold down
really
the
is
trigger,
similar
deal with a full
to
inventory,
Starfield.
Get an upgrade, leave the planet,
I'm just
go
saying.
to another planet. Hold down the trigger, deal with a full inventory, leave the planet, go to another planet, deal with a full inventory, get an upgrade, leave the planet, go to another planet. That's it. $60, ladies and gentlemen.
Refuel your multi-tool, refuel your life support, refuel a separate part of your multi-tool that shoots bullets instead of the mining beam, refuel your launch thrusters. It's busy work that makes it look like you have something to do.
It looks
it's
really
not real.
boring.
How dare you?
What followed was one of the most dramatic crashes in player numbers in gaming history. Sales in the UK fell by 81% in the second week. Concurrent
Holy
players on
crap.
Steam dropped from 212,000 in August to just over 2,000 by September and fewer than 1,000 by October.
And what followed that was perhaps the biggest pylon in gaming history. Reviewers on YouTube panned
That's
the
what's
game.
gonna happen.
Oh, for fuck's sake! You done fucked it up!
I had no hype, and I can tell you that, even without that disappointment, this game is hot garbage.
Has anyone coined Sean Mourinho yet?
Numerous times within the first 2 hours of the game, I kept saying, this is it, fuck this shit.
Reviewers in the media were almost as harsh.
Devastating realization that most of the crafting, combat, and other activities you do on and between those planets ranges between bemusing and outright bad.
The criticism was deafening.
Did he respond?
And a lot of it really funny and creative. Krobycat made a video that captured the sentiment of that day, and if you haven't seen it yet, you're missing out.
So people are furious. The game is boring, and soon people discover that complaining about the game is actually more fun than playing it.
Wait, I'm now 3.5 hours into the tutorial pretty much.
So they started complaining about it like they were
3-hour
grinding for an
tutorial?
achievement.
This sucks. Fucking Minecraft in space.
Many people made compilations of all the unfulfilled promises. One guy on the subreddit compiled a big list of all the missing features. Front page. Got a defense for No Man's Sky? Enjoy your downvote. In fact, the entire No Man's Sky subreddit was in such disarray it had to be locked.
So by the end of the month, Metacritic was like scrolling through a bowl of Cheerios. By October, it was one of the worst rated games on Steam, with an aggregate of mostly negative from more than 70,000 reviews. The outrage at the game was headline news for weeks on dozens of games news publications, and the price on eBay and Amazon and secondhand at GameStop was crashing through the floor.
The reason why it's such a big deal is because it's claimed to be AAA, and he did this whole marketing circuit all over the place. So yeah, if it had just not been claimed to be so amazing, I don't think people would be so upset.
But the beatings
They
had
had
only
high
just begun.
expectations.
The demo planet was data mined and found to be, of course, totally scripted and not randomly generated at all.
I've just got to pick one of these at random. If anything horrible goes wrong, just keep in mind that I've not been here before.
It wasn't some level that we built or something like that, even though I think it looks quite nice in places.
People watching this would wonder why you're showing this area again. Like, what's so special about demoing the game on this planet?
Oh, no, it's just a place that looks nice.
No, bad Murray.
I could have ended the demo with some, pre-scripted crazy thing that would happen. You know what I mean? The normal thing of and then a monster emerges from behind the mountains,
He's selling himself out.
People see what's going on with the game and feel lied to. This is false advertising, they say, and angry customers start scoping out a lawsuit. On September 28th, the ASA busts through the door and goes, "Yep, too many complaints. We're going to investigate." But then soon after, the ASA cleared them of any legal wrongdoing. Technically, the only thing they're interested in is what's on the back of the box, what's on the store page, and what's on the Steam page. So it's technically not false advertising. But of course,
all those
technically
interviews
not
mean
illegal
nothing.
Doesn't mean much to an angry audience.
Right,
October
spend your
28th,
money, who cares?
Hello Games Twitter is hacked. The hacker posts, "No Man's Sky was a mistake," and is shitting on the game in the replies. Turns out Sean didn't use two-factor authentication on his LinkedIn, and that's how they got in. They also sent discrediting emails to journalists, which they knew would rile people up if published. Some people even show up to their offices to take photos and knock on the door, even at night and on the weekend. They posted empty pictures of the office, so, naturally out of context, this started rumors that Hello Games simply took the money and ran. This in addition to numerous bomb and death threats during that period. Those ones Sean did have to take seriously.
Regular intervention from police and Scotland Yard and things like that.
And while Sony didn't quite throw them under the bus, it was more like a gentle push under a minivan when Sony President Shohei Yoshida admitted that Hello Games did not have a great PR strategy for No Man's Sky.
They didn't, that's true.
Chris took the ball with that one and ran. But despite all of this, all of the negative press, they were actually nominated for a couple of awards. But by this point, Murray and the other members of Hello Games were so downtrodden and so sure they weren't going to win.
Okay, I mean, it's fine.
That they opted to go elsewhere for dinner.
Aww.
And the Innovation Award goes to...
I don't think you should be harassed at their office, especially,
No Man's
like...
Sky.
Dang, y'all won an award. I mean...
This lovely trophy going once.
I love that trophy. It's so cool.
I'm going to accept this on the behalf of Hello Games, and congratulations to them. And I'm going to walk off stage like I planned that whole thing.
By this point, you've got to feel just a little bit sorry for them.
Yeah, I'm starting, yeah.
And then what followed that was the final straw for many. No particular incident, but a lack of incidents.
No, they didn't do any patches.
Over 3 months of not a damn word from No Man's Sky. Where are they? Where is my refund? Where is Murray? Shouted into the void. The game was over. And it was dead.
Three months.
The year is 2000 AD. Sean has just graduated from university and is headed into the big wide world. He rises up the ranks at a number of studios, eventually working as a technical lead for Black and technical director for Burnout 3. When Burnout's developer is bought by EA, he is in his late 20s. And he and 3 of his buddies decide to leave and start their own studio. Hello Games.
That is a tough thing to do, I'm sure.
This was a risky venture.
So we'd done this incredibly foolish thing of like quitting our jobs, and then we had to sit down and try and decide what the game was going to be.
Together they create their first title, Joe Danger. They work on this game day and night. In fact, even once they were arrested in their own office because the police thought they were there to rob the place, because who would be working at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night? But they had to work that hard. Like any startup, it was a huge financial and professional risk. They had no income. They were working in a tiny room above an old tile shop.
For how long?
Living off savings. And to keep the project running, Sean even sold his house.
So we made a really tough and probably at the time seemed really foolish decision. It's kind of almost embarrassing for me to talk about.
It's not embarrassing.
I sold my house and just basically went all in and funded what we were doing.
Respectable,
which is
honestly.
not something
It's
I would
brave.
recommend anyone else do.
But by June 8th, 2010, they had done it. The game was good. And they could breathe a sigh of relief because on the very first day it hit the PlayStation Store, they made their money back.
Good.
2 years later, Joe Danger 2 was released. It was not the commercial success they had hoped for, and they didn't want to just keep pumping out sequels. That was a trap big players in the industry had fallen into. In his spare time, Sean started working on a prototype for a procedurally
They wouldn't do it if it wasn't
generated
profitable.
game. They took another gamble and scrambled to get a trailer out in time to present at VGX 2013. So the project is official now, and the pressure is on. Around this time, Sean is also looking to start a family, Concurrent to all this development, he would go on to have 3 kids. So the weight of responsibility is really piling on.
Okay, the issue is I think they shot too high. They did. Joe Danger doesn't look as complicated. Obviously, it doesn't look as complicated as No Man's Sky. So it's just way out of the zone. Like, I think the reason why Joe Danger might have worked was because it was just doable with a small team. But No Man's Sky, oh my God. That looks like a huge project.
But their hard work will pay off, as they're finally going to have a chance for some R&R around Christmas.
They woke up to find their homes flooded, their cars submerged, and their plans for Christmas Day very much ruined.
Bad news. Rain. Rain and flooding in the south of England, right around the Hello Games office. They are completely inundated, and they return from their holidays to find laptops floating around at waist height. But some good news. They hadn't lost any data. So they pull together. Soldier on. Development continues. So there they are, working in a damp office, and then ding dong. Ooh, who's at the door? It's Danish mathematician Dr. Johan Gillis. He's seen the game, and he says, "They are using my super formula," in perfect English, and there is a potential for a lawsuit. Sean says,
how did he find that out?
And he can prove it. So they have a meeting, and the claim is eventually dropped. Lawsuit evaded. So back to work, guys. Ding dong. It's Sky Television. They'd seen the game.
"You were infringing on our Sky trademark,"
they said in perfect text-to-speech. They had succeeded in getting Microsoft to change SkyDrive to OneDrive, and they were about to give gamers No Man's 1 under threat of lawsuit.
That sounds terrible.
But this lawsuit didn't just go away. The threat loomed over them for the next...
The word Sky does not get to be owned? Oh my God,
3
what?
years. Right up until the month before release.
Oh man.
So they get back to work and ding dong. It's Sony, with some good news for once. "We like your game, kid. We want to feature it front and center and make you a big star." This could mean millions of dollars in additional revenue. They said, yeah. But along with it, a lot of press for this game would need to be done. Being a small team, they didn't have anyone for PR. They had their designers, they had their developers, and that was about it. So it's up to Murray. Sean is in his early 30s now. Not super young, but relatively young, and inexperienced for this type of media circuit. This deal with Sony put extra pressure on them. It set deadlines. It's not that it's Sony's fault, but they're locked in now with much less flexibility.
Yeah.
So when May rolls around, and they have no option but to delay, even if they wanted to ask for an extra 6 to 12 months of development, which they really need, it's probably too much to ask for. So they extend from late June to August. Only 6 weeks. From here, you can predict what's going to happen to multiplayer and a bunch of other promised features.
I guess when I look at this, what I don't know anything, but what I would do if you really don't have enough time, it's 2 months instead of 6 months, you just have to hire more people. You're gonna have to double your people, like, or make it even more to hit that deadline. That's the only option, and I'm sure it costs a lot of money, but what else can you do if
so
they're
here's
demanding
how the hype
it?
happened. Scope of game. Time. And here's the line which shows the reality of development. Progress is steady and ends in August 2016. Now here is the line of player expectations.
Yeah.
It should start out here
gonna shoot
and follow along the purple. But the overhyping trailer comes out and puts us way up here.
Yeah.
In this trailer, it features a bunch of things that Hello Games thinks they're capable of having in the game by 2016. That's the first big mistake.
Well, he didn't say, I think we might be able to do this. He said, we have this, we're doing it. Like, I think if he had just said, you know, we're planning on doing this, we're going to do our best, we think we might be able to do this, it might not have been as bad.
Then it's announced for PlayStation, and it costs $60, and there's a collector's edition. Second, even bigger mistake. That puts us all the way up here. And I think this is the main problem, because price tags set expectations.
$60
For a $60
is a
game,
lot.
this was seriously barren and disappointing.
It's a lot.
Now, if they had put it out for $20 as an indie game or an alpha, no
Yep.
problem. But when they gave it the
Agree.
AAA treatment, people rightfully aligned their expectations with other games in that category.
Yeah, because
that is the main reason.
Exactly. See, all this right here, and compared to those other games we just saw, their little figurines, those were big games.
And customers'
You know?
expectations
Yes,
were
that makes
so
sense.
skewed. Then Murray went to interviews, exacerbating the problem. Every time he mentioned a feature in the game, even in passing, fans set their expectations to AAA heights for that feature.
Yep.
Now, some people think the interviews are the main problem. In my humble opinion, not so much.
Oh, really?
Most people never saw these interviews. It's not that rickety
Come on,
12-foot
man.
ladder.
You don't think people watch Stephen Colbert to see what he would say? Come on.
Sean standing on that's the main problem. It's the 900-foot building he's perched it on in the first place.
Yep.
So the obvious solution here would be an official statement. Hey guys, look, don't expect a 10 out of 10. Expect more of a 5 out of 10. No, the publisher just sank an enormous investment of marketing and opportunity into the game.
What's wrong with you?
And that would be a huge middle finger to them.
It's already too late. The way that you spoke about it in the interview, I actually do agree that the interviews are probably the main issue. Yeah. Doing the interview would have been fine. You just were putting too much promise on certain things that weren't even there yet. And you weren't sure we're even going to be there. So that's the issue.
The publisher isn't
He should
going to
have
make you
worded
hype the
his
shit
stuff
out of the
differently.
game, but you can't talk it down either. So he's kind of stuck up there. In
I
some
see.
ways, during the interview, he tries to temper
Okay.
expectations, but it's limited.
Can you build a space station?
No.
But let's not gloss over the interviews. Sean is a technical guy. He's a developer.
Mhm.
He's also the introverted type. And the big lights and the
Ugh.
stuff on camera does not come naturally to him.
You know, that's why I said it's so brave, because it's not easy. And like, especially for someone like me, I'm sure that it's similar. You know, I would be like totally horrified and terrified to do even one of these things. So good for him for at least giving it
Is
a
it super
good shot.
nerve-wracking to talk on stage at E3?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
He looks nervous now. I mean, which is
find
totally understandable.
going on stage at E3 like the hardest
Oh
thing
my
I've
God.
ever done. That's something
Yep.
that I would have had in a nightmare before. You know what I mean?
Same.
It's that
Literally
kind
the
of
hardest
thing.
thing you've ever done?
Yeah.
Still, he stepped up and took interviews for his game
I totally
from
understand.
2013 to 2016. And the main thing people wanted to hear about were the features.
Can you have more than...
So every planet will there be wormholes?
Right.
At what point do you get points or anything?
From these interviews, people took Sean to be a liar, a Peter Molyneux or a chess club member out to sell his game at whatever reputational cost. But I think the truth is more complicated than that.
It could
Sean
be.
and the team are indie developers working on a new IP. Their project and plans are constantly in flux. They have no idea how large chunks of the game are going to look, especially not a couple of years out from release. And crucially, Sean doesn't understand that something mentioned in 2013, even said in passing, is going to be seen as a promise in the year 2016, even if by then you've decided to cut it from the game. For example, orbiting around the sun.
Day has turned it out because the planet has actually rotated on its axis.
This originally was in the game, but it caused the player too much confusion. It kept being reported as a bug in the beta, as people left the planet and then returned to find everything different. But nonetheless, into the lying compilation it goes. So while they're still essentially formulating the game,
Like,
the media all want a
misleading
piece
is
of
what it
Sean
is.
and to report on features first. Conversely, Sean thinks the reporters might help him to temper down things by emphasizing that Hello Games is an indie studio. But that is not how journalism is done. This is how journalism is done.
Can you customize the look of your character?
Sort of.
Full customization confirmed in No Man's Sky.
Why not?
Periodic table to
You-
create atmospheric particles that would diffract light at just the right wavelength.
Told you. The press kind of operates downstream from the community. because things are click-driven as to what stories you get served and things like that.
Yep.
But a rumor would surface from Reddit straight to the front page.
There's all this hype, and the project has increased in scope dramatically and keeps increasing as the months go by until a point. They are close to the deadline.
Okay. I think it's kind of sad that Sony backed them, but they didn't help. Like maybe they just weren't even comfortable telling Sony that they need more help or they need more time. Like he said, that they weren't really allowed to ask for that much more time, but it kind of sucks because like it would have just helped if they had maybe provided more support, and I think it would have been okay.
And have to delay. And the reality
of course Sony
what
just
they can
drops them when it
achieve in the
fails.
little time remaining is staring them in the face. They know they're not going to be putting out a finished game. They're worried. There's nothing more they can do. And the fear that they will disappoint the audience is growing on Sean and the team.
I worry about like disappointing people.
Upon release, all of these clips are seen as proof that Sean is a liar. And what doesn't help is his body language. I mean, it's
He just
kind
looks
of the
nervous
body
to me.
language of someone who is lying.
No,
And
I
this
think
is why
he
I
looks
mentioned
nervous.
he's an introvert. Remember, he's a technical lead. Actually, a really good one. But not a salesman. Cut him just a little bit of slack, because this is simply how he talks. Here are some innocuous questions, and he answers them honestly.
Lead producers on No Man's Sky?
Yeah, I guess I'm a developer on it. I suppose the creator or something like that. No.
See, the way he was putting his hand up, he just seemed nervous. I'm just like that. If I'm in pressure situations and someone asks me a question, I'll just say something really stupid and embarrass myself. It happens like to me all the time. And that wasn't that bad of an answer. But I'm saying I could totally understand. I could never do
really
this.
Like making games. I don't necessarily love talking about making games.
I think you did a good job,
even
Sean,
though, you guys are very nice.
Mate, seriously.
Same body language. And Jesus Christ, they have him up on stage and in front of cameras and bright lights and on the goddamn Colbert Report.
Just
Try
brave.
keeping your nerve on that. Nonetheless, free of that context, the clips have him cemented in the community as a liar. So the graph plays out right to release. And that graph, it's actually a track. And that track is what the hype train runs on. So it comes barreling up the hill. Instead of neatly pulling into the station, it comes crashing right through the roof. The disaster unfolds. They are absolutely shit on. So there were Sean and Hello Games, surrounded by the rubble of their former reputation. Punished Sean was at his lowest point, hated by the majority of the gaming community. But they were still alive, and they had made tens of millions of dollars. They were left with two choices. Take the money, start a new project, and be a pariah, a cautionary tale of the industry and hated by the gaming community forever.
Oh, and I imagine the hate that Sean got because he's the face of it too now. Like he did all these. So he must have been the main person to get just hate.
Or pick themselves up, get back to work, and with potentially no profit motive, finish the game.
It allowed me to do something that I've always done in difficult times, whether it was crappy bosses that I've dealt with before or crappy situations at school growing up. I got my head down, I sat in front of a computer, and I made games, which is what I enjoy.
They picked number 2.
Good.
So, here's the plan. The team is assigned to fixing bugs and the most obvious problems. Go. Sean tells the team to stop reading all the overwhelmingly negative feedback on the game, and he reroutes all of it to his personal devices. Emails, forum posts, Google News alerts, player feedback, it's all going directly to him now. Then he starts breaking that down into data sets. People who haven't bought the game, people who have bought it and played it for 100 hours, people who have returned it, etc. Then he starts compiling those complaints into usable data, focusing on the people with the most sincere experience of the game. Then we start making a big laundry list of all the things that need adding and prioritizing. First thing to fix is that full inventory. Then community mod support. Then a third thing, etc., etc. This is going to take an enormous amount of work to pull off, and they're not going to make the same mistake twice. So they would need to sharply adjust their PR strategy. Anything they said
Stop
right now,
talking to the press.
an admission of guilt,
You don't need to.
would be met with criticism. Denial, it's not that bad, would be met with criticism. Corporate speak, well, we endeavored to make the best game we could, and we are proud of what we have, would be met with criticism.
Ugh. Both those things. Companies love to say it's not that bad. And people just get more
Half the
annoyed.
problems have been caused by speaking too much. So they were going to do a complete 180. Instead of adding more fuel to the fire, instead of accidentally promising fixes that might also not be delivered, they wouldn't speak to the press again.
Female traits you're talking about. I'd say that's a generalization. But
They were going to speak to the community directly from now on. So they told the audience they were working on it and went completely silent. 1 day passed. No word. 2 days. A week. Have you heard from Hello Games? They just had this disastrous
only a
release.
week.
No, haven't seen them. I hope they're working on the game. 2 weeks. Dude, are you working on this thing?
Oh.
Just ignore them. Just work. 3 weeks. Okay, what the fuck is going on?
WTF, it's locked.
A month. They took the fuck money and ran, didn't they? Didn't say anything. It's not going to help. 2 months.
Okay, that's a
3
really long time. Wow.
By now, most people were convinced that the game was abandoned. They had made their money. It's all over. Then,
of course,
after over 100 days of absolute silence, a tweet. Foundation. The first big patch.
How exciting.
It is me, Sean. No, go away, Sean. I am mad at you. It has been too long. But I bring you gifts. This accent sucks. It brought base building, new game modes, farming, camps, and freighters, as well as a lot of bug fixes. You will have to try harder than that, Sean, to win my love back. It still fell well shy of the promised game. Too little, too late. So Sean left, returned to his team, and got back to work. A few more months went by, and then another tweet. Pathfinder.
What do we have here?
Yeah, it's good.
Fuck? Oh, it's usual. I bring you online base sharing, own multiple starships, starship specialization, multi-tool specialization and classes, permadeath modes, vehicles you can drive around in, and create racetracks for them too with time trials. Look at this. Okay, that's pretty good, but I'm still mad, and there's still a ton promised that isn't in the game yet. So Sean went away once more. A few more months went by.
So that's like 9 months so far.
Knock, knock. Oh, it's you, Sean. What is it now? I bring you an overhaul to the storyline. New worlds, crashed freighters, space combat, terrain editing, portals, procedural mission system, interstellar trading, and joint exploration. By now, people were really starting to warm to No Man's Sky again, and to Hello Games.
The game has in many ways exceeded what was promised.
It's a substantially better game now.
No Man's Sky is back, baby!
People saw this was an honest effort
Not
to fix
everyone's
the
gonna
game,
love it.
and the number of employees working on it was growing, from a studio of 15 to 25.
See,
Sean Murray
there
and
you
Hello
go.
Games social media also started becoming more active and engaging with the audience. The subreddit was flourishing once more. The price of the game secondhand on Amazon, eBay, and GameStop was going up. Then a few more months went by. Next,
So a year later?
really big patch.
Ooh. Big patches is always fun.
I just got goosebumps.
Oh, there's a
To be super clear, No Man's Sky is not fuck that. Here's the full and proper multiplayer experience.
Great.
Ring planets, third-person mode, character customization, a galactic atlas on an external website for the community, vast overhauls to base building and crafting and resources, And it also brought the game to Xbox. In fact, with the release of Next in July 2018, No Man's Sky was the 6th top-selling console game for the month. It climbed its way back into Steam's top 10. It reached nearly 100,000 concurrent players. It brought another $24 million across all platforms. Their Steam rating went from mixed to very positive. People were getting back on board in a big way.
So they sold more after all of this, more than double in the beginning.
But they weren't done yet.
Wow.
Better creatures, weird underwater
DLC stuff.
shit, discoveries in bases and environments and equipment, and it keeps going. New biomes, more diversity, archaeology, more things to discover. By now, Sean and the gaming inspector, personification of the gaming community, had literally patched things up and were making out on the couch. Which was when he released his biggest patch to date of this video.
Oh my god, dude!
Free VR support. Not a whole other game you have to pay for, like some titles. Overhauls to NPCs, tech trees, base building, streamlined multiplayer, ride animals around. All sorts of stuff that was never promised in the first place. And they're still adding more stuff.
Someone at Valve, who was a fan of the game, said to me, what you do now is more important than what you say. There's only one thing that's credible, and that's your actions.
In fact, I was so slow to get this video out that they put out another patch the other day. With ship salvaging, ship upgrading, more advanced terrain editing, first-person exocrafts, improved VR, improved base building and inventory management, and quality of life stuff. It goes on. Is it perfect? Technically, there are still things on this spreadsheet missing. But come on now, we're starting to nitpick.
Right. I truly believe that if a game is good, a few little glitches here and there is not a big deal. As long as it's not like game ending stuff, you know? I think it's fine. And I think it was super smart for him to direct all the complaints to himself, because just adding the stress, or the people having stress about the crowds coming after them, would make them probably not work as well, and bring the mood down. And so that was really smart.
Especially when you compare them to relationships with other games companies. They could have gone the route of Fallout 76. Paywall mods with Fallout first, charging a monthly fee, a downward spiral more and more into pay-to-win scraps released without QA testing. But instead, they never added pay-to-win. They never added microtransactions or paid DLC.
That's rare.
They never made VR as a second game. They didn't give up on the game or scale their resources back to do it. They didn't come out and call all gamers entitled. They didn't add loot boxes. They didn't start work on the next big project or sequel. They didn't do much of anything except get back to work.
Yeah, it does help because, well, they make a lot of money off of doing those types of things, though. So for these guys and the team to just focus, well, it makes sense, though, because it's like games shouldn't move on if their game sucks and just start making more money. Like, they need to just fix what they already have, right?
And just like that, the game once panned by critics now had awards rolling in.
Your developed star 2019, No Man's Sky.
They had a nomination this year too, I think.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky's next.
No Man's Sky.
And to cap it all off, the subreddit No Man's Sky the Game even got together and pooled money for a GoFundMe to have a billboard installed near the Hello Games offices.
Aww.
It must have been a harrowing moment for Sean and the team. They took a huge risk to start a small studio. They clawed their way up to create one of the most notable games of the console generation. Disappointed pretty much everyone with the release.
Yeah.
And took one of the biggest online beatings in video game history for
all those
the
videos.
Family post-release, we faced some really difficult challenges. Everything that you can imagine from like the worst of the internet, we hit.
But then over the course of the next 3 years, completely turned
That's
it
a long
around
time.
and came out the other side with
But
a
you
win.
know what? It's still less time than Starfield. I'm just saying.
It's the underdog story. And after doing all of this research,
With a much smaller
I couldn't
team.
help but come to the conclusion that they were the good guys. So what is the future for Hello Games? In 2017, they announced Hello Labs, a support program focused on original titles and games using procedural generation. Two of the team also branched off to work on a small title called The Last Campfire. But for the foreseeable
Never heard
future,
of that, have I?
they're just working on No Man's Sky.
They'll announce a new game the moment I post this
Right, I
video.
didn't want to finish the video on like a big sappy note. So, this is the end of the story, but there's still another few minutes. Don't leave. It's not an ad. Okay, in 2015, when the hype
Your
was
ads
at
are
its
good
peak,
though.
someone wrote a Sean Murray erotic fanfiction. And, naturally, I assumed that you lot would want to see it. So, here it is.
Oh,
My
God.
evening interview at Hello Games. I arrived at the Hello Games office in the early evening as the sun was approaching the horizon. Taking a deep breath, I nervously pressed the doorbell. The door opened,
No.
and Sean poked his expressive face out to greet me. "Hey you," he exclaimed in his adorable British-Australian accent. "I'm so happy you could make it and spend the evening with us." "I was so happy when I heard you agreed to let me come in for an interview," I said. "Oh yeah, the interview. I forgot," he replied with his usual brilliant humor. I laughed. "You're so funny, Sean. Let me show you my office." "I have a surprise for you," Sean said. He led me to the room where we sat down on a soft vinyl couch. "So let me show you the surprise," he said, softly. "It's the newest build of the game. We just added some new features." He booted up the game on a PS4 in his office. I stared at his face. I like your beard. It's sexy," I pretended to say to him in my head to myself.
Oh, God.
I had a secret crush on him. There was something about his humble demeanor and feeble yet handsome bone structure that was so alluring. "So here's the game," he said eagerly. It opened on an alien world just calling out to be explored. I began to sweat. Here it finally was, in front of me in all of its glory, and it was being played by Sean in front of me in all of his glory. I nervously spoke. "Could I try playing?" I said. "Oh, I suppose, of course," he said, chuckling. But another few minutes passed without him handing me the controls. "Sean," I said more confidently. I put my hands on his hands as he gripped the controller. He looked me straight in the eyes. I stared deep into his beautiful, glistening eyes, utterly transfixed. "Sure," he said. He let go of the PlayStation controller, still sweaty from his firm grip.
Ooh.
"But I have another surprise to show you." He stood up. "Mike,"
Redacted.
he muttered.
Dang.
"Yes, please," I said, blushing as red as the treetops of Aurea 5. He grabbed my shoulders, guiding me confidently towards the coffee table, like he confidently guides the Hello Games team towards the game's release. The one true Sean Murray, not that baby-faced loser asshole poser from NCIS. Made sweet, sweet love to me. I wasn't sure what I was more excited about. Finally,
Redacted.
Sean Murray,
did
or
someone write
finally
this?
playing No Man's Sky. After exploring the planet's surface, I entered my spaceship and took off. Just as I left the atmosphere and burst into the breathtaking expanse of space,
Redacted.
it was an out-of-world experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Oculus Rift support, he uttered sensually. As I turned, I saw Sean's
That's where
avatar
we
standing
start.
before me in a beautiful, procedurally generated spacesuit. "Like what you see," he said. "It's time, everybody," he shouted. I heard footsteps slowly enter from the cramped office. I soon saw many spacesuits appear before me in-game. But as they took off their helmets, I realized that they were all the same Sean Murray avatar. I was about to be
Redacted.
by a group of Sean Murrays, but they all had one difference. The big
Redacted.
each piece
Redacted.
was different. There were wide ones, thin ones, long ones, curved ones. It was magical. As the Hello Games team began to
Redacted.
from somewhere in the room, I heard Sean whisper, "Every
Redacted.
procedural." Also, I did a thing on the second channel. Please do check it out. I thought it was quite
That is
good.
hilarious.
I love the videos on the second channel. It's some erotic fanfiction over there. So why not check it out? And that's it. Sorry it took so long.
Okay, that was awesome, as usual. But the entire video was really good. I like that there's like a first half and a second half. And I like the redemption. It was great. Wow. I'm glad I watched that, and congrats to them. I mean, 3 years, or what is it? 5 years in total, to be fair. It's not that bad of a time, length these days for a game. It's really not. And just for having a small team, like, that's amazing. It's really cool. But yeah, I'm glad I watched this video. Thank you for suggesting it to me. And if there's something else you want me to watch, let me know. I have a couple of other recommendations that I'm going to follow through with. But yeah, I will leave this video in the description. Let me know what you think about this video, and I will see you in the next one.